a quiet, picturesque town nestled in Sonoma County, just north of San Francisco. It's the kind of place where people don't lock their front doors, where kids ride their bikes until streetlights come on, and parents sleep soundly, believing the monsters of the world live somewhere else. But tonight, inside a modest house on 4th Street, that illusion of safety is about to be violently torn away. 3 12-year-old girls are having a slumber party. They're laughing, trying on clothes, telling secrets, doing exactly what 12-year-olds do. Down the hall, a tired mother is fast asleep. The house is warm. The neighborhood is quiet, but outside in the dark, a shadow is moving. A man is walking up to the house. He isn't looking for an open window, and he isn't trying to be quiet. He is about to walk right through the back door, step into a child's bedroom, and commit a crime so brazen, so terrifying, that it will change America forever. This is the story of Klaas, a case that mobilized an entire nation, exposed a devastating flaw in the American legal system, and left us with a haunting question. If our children aren't safe inside their own bedrooms while we sleep down the hall, where are they safe? 12-year-old Polly Klaas was a spark of light. Friends described her as exceptionally kind, creative, and full of life. On this Friday night, Polly was hosting a small slumber party at her mother's home. Her 2 best friends, Kate McLean and Luisa Reylos, were over. By 10:30 p.m., Polly's mother, Eve Nickel, and her half-sister were asleep in another bedroom down the hall. The 3 girls were in Polly's bedroom. They were playing a game, trying on different outfits. The room was messy with clothes, sleeping bags, and the innocent chaos of a preteen sleepover. Polly decided she wanted to grab a sleeping bag from the living room. She opened her bedroom door, but she didn't make it to the living room. Standing in the doorway was a man. He was large, roughly 6 feet tall, thick-set, with a coarse beard and a dark knit cap pulled down. In his hand he held a knife. For a second, the girls thought it was a joke, a prank by a friend or family member, but the atmosphere instantly turned ice-cold. The man's voice was low, flat, and chillingly calm. "Don't make a sound," he said, "or I'll slit your throats." He ordered the girls onto the floor. He used strips of cloth and tracking lace to tie Kate and Luisa's hands behind their backs. He put pillowcases over their heads. They were trembling, paralyzed by absolute terror. Polly was completely cooperative, trying to keep her friends safe, pleading with the man not to hurt them. The man asked which one lived there. Polly spoke up. It was her. He lifted Polly up. He didn't run. He didn't panic. With terrifying deliberation, he carried Polly out into the cool California night. It took Kate and Luisa a few agonizing minutes to work their hands free. As soon as they did, they tore the pillowcases off and ran down the hall to wake Polly's mother, screaming that a man had taken Polly. Eve Nickel frantically dialed 911. The time was 11:03 p.m. The Petaluma Police Department responded within minutes. Roadblocks went out, but a fatal mistake was brewing. You see, Polly's house was in the city jurisdiction of Petaluma. But just a few miles away, across the county line, lay the jurisdiction of the Sonoma County Sheriff's Department. In 1993, digital communication was in its infancy. The 2 departments operated on completely different radio frequencies. The sheriff's deputies out on patrol had no idea a 12-year-old girl had just been kidnapped. Cut to nearly an hour later, around 12 a.m. Deep in the dark, wooded hills of Pythian Road, roughly 20 miles away from Polly's house, a property owner named Data Jaffe notices a strange vehicle stuck on her private rugged driveway. It's a white Ford Pinto, high-centered on a ditch. Suspicious, Jaffe calls the Sonoma County Sheriff's Department. 2 deputies ride up the dark mountain road. They find the driver. He's sweaty, disheveled, covered in brambles, and acting nervous. His name is Richard Allen Davis. The deputies run his name through their system. Davis is a convicted felon with a massive rap sheet, currently out on parole. They search his car. They find an open beer can, a matchbook, and some suspicious items. But they don't see a 12-year-old girl. Remember, These deputies have no idea Polly Klaas has been abducted. The BOLO, the Be on the Lookout alert, was broadcast on the Petaluma police frequency, not the sheriff's channel. Davis tells the deputies a bogus story. He says he's just a tourist who got lost looking for a friend's house and ended up stuck in the mud. Because they have no legal reason to hold him, the deputies pour out his beer, give him a ticket for trespassing, help him push his car out of the ditch, and watch him drive away into the night. It is a moment that will haunt those deputies and the entire state of California for decades. Richard Allen Davis had abducted Polly just an hour prior. She was up on that hillside, hidden in the brush, alive, waiting for a rescue that was standing just feet away. By Saturday morning, the realization of what happened hits Petaluma like a tidal wave. A child taken from her own bedroom. It was every parent's worst nightmare brought to life. What followed was one of the largest, most technologically advanced volunteer search efforts in American history. The Polly Klaas Search Center was founded within days. Over 4,000 volunteers poured into Petaluma. They printed over 8 million flyers, distributing them across the globe. They used a brand new technology called the Internet to distribute her picture internationally, one of the very first times the web was used to hunt for a missing child. Celebrities stepped in. Actress Winona Ryder, who had grown up in Petaluma, offered a $200,000 reward for Polly's safe return. Musicians, athletes, and politicians flooded the airwaves. Polly's face was on every television screen in America. For 2 months, the country held its breath. Every lead was checked. Every swamp searched. Polly's father, Mark Klaas, became a tireless, heartbreaking fixture on national news, begging for his daughter's life. But behind the scenes, investigators were painstakingly putting the pieces together. They went back to the bedroom. FBI forensic experts swept the room and found a single partial palm print on Polly's bunk bed. At the same time, the Sonoma County deputies finally logged their report from that strange night on Pythian Road into the central database. On November 28th, nearly 2 months after the abduction, the computer systems finally synced. Investigators realized that a violent parolee named Richard Allen Davis had been stopped in the woods, 20 miles away just an hour after the kidnapping. The FBI rushed to match Davis's palm print with the one lifted from Polly's bunk bed. It was a perfect match. On November 30th, 1993, law enforcement located and arrested Richard Allen Davis at a motel in Ukiah, California. But the mission wasn't over. They needed to find Polly. For days, Davis denied everything. But the evidence against him was an absolute mountain. Finally, realizing he was facing the death penalty, Davis cracked. He offered to lead investigators to where he had hidden Polly. On December 4th, 1993, a somber convoy of police vehicles drove to a secluded, wooded area near Cloverdale, California. There, hidden under brush near Highway 101, investigators found the remains of 12-year-old Polly Klaas. Medical examiners would later determine that Davis had taken Polly up to that hillside on Pythian Road. When the property owner saw his car and called the police, Davis panicked. He hid Polly in the brush, went down to deal with the deputies, and the moment they helped him free his car and left, Davis went back into the woods, murdered Polly, and later moved her body to Cloverdale. The news broke the heart of a nation. In Petaluma, a town filled with millions of missing posters and ribbons of hope, the grief was suffocating. A massive memorial service was held, attended by thousands, including prominent leaders, all mourning a little girl who had united the country in hope, only to leave it shattered in grief. The tragedy of Polly Klaas quickly turned into blinding rage when the public learned about Richard Allen Davis's past. Davis wasn't just a criminal, he was a career monster. He had a 25-year history of violent crimes, including multiple kidnappings, assaults, and robberies. He had been sentenced to long prison terms, only to be released early on parole time and time again. The public outcry was deafening. Why was this man on the street? Polly's father, Mark Klaas channeled his unimaginable grief into ferocious advocacy. The case became the primary catalyst for one of the most drastic legal shifts in modern U.S. history: the Three Strikes Law. In 1994, California overwhelmingly passed legislation stating that if a criminal commits a third felony offense after 2 prior serious or violent felony convictions, they receive a mandatory sentence of 25 years to life. It was designed to ensure that men like Richard Allen Davis would never see the light of day again. In 1996, Richard Allen Davis was convicted of first-degree murder and kidnapping. During his sentencing, he showed absolute zero remorse, even making a disgusting, fabricated claim about Polly's father that enraged the courtroom. The judge sentenced him to death, calling his crimes an exceptional human tragedy. Today, Davis remains on death row. Polly Klaas didn't get to grow up. She didn't get to finish school, fall in love, or realize her immense potential. But her name lives on. The Polly Klaas Foundation has helped recover thousands of missing children over the last 3 decades. Her story is a reminder of the fragility of peace, the gaps in our justice systems, and the enduring power of a community that refused to let a little girl go without a fight. Sleep peaceably, Polly. You are not forgotten.